Hello everyone, Untitled, welcome to another mod review, this time on Callable horses. A mod that simply adds in the ability for you to use certain key bindings for either making a horse your own personal one, calling it, or finding out its stats. So, we'll just check the keybinds real quick. As you can see here, so you've got B for calling it, P for setting as your own personal, and K for showing the stats. So we just get a new one. We can obviously try calling it and nothing's going to happen. Our personal one will, but the new one won't do anything, of course. So we just go here and set P. I think we can do that. I don't know if that'll change anything. Obviously we haven't tamed them yet, but we can, I assume, even call them, even if they're not completely tamed. Interesting. I didn't know you could do that. So that's good to know. Can we press? Yes, we can. Okay, so you can actually use key bindings on untamed horses. But obviously, it's more normal or useful to use it on a tamed one, because obviously you can use them more than one that's not tamed and unable to follow your commands. But we'll just tame this one anyways. We'll see. Let's get this. Come on. Let's see if we can though. And if not, then okay, there we go. So we can just get that. We'll get the saddle. So there we go. But yeah, so you just press obviously P to set it as your personal horse. If you already have, then it'll let you know. Other than that, obviously we can see stats of how much health they have, speed, jump height, the coordinate position that they were last known, and the dimension they're currently in, which makes it kind of easier to find them if need be. And if we just go on this one, we can see sort of different stats, or maybe fairly similar. But yeah, so if we just go, of course, V, we can call our horse. And obviously the one is now personal, because obviously you can only mark one horse as a personal, it seems, and they're the one that will be called to you. And then you can jump straight on, and you can get back to riding on your horse, of course. We get on our other one, of course, then we press P. We can't call them while we're on it, but we can obviously run over here and call them. Doesn't really seem like they will that much when you're in the air though. There isn't enough space to call your horse. There's also a message that will be displayed, I assume, if there's certain blocks or something. Or possibly where you're pointing? I'm not sure. Possibly just seems like where you are standing, maybe. I don't know. Or in between jumping. I don't know. But either way, you can call your horse. You can obviously set the one that you particularly want to use as the one to call, or be your personal. And then obviously you can view the stats as well, whether if they're in a different dimension or where they last were, making it easier to find them instead of just going, it's like, well, I might as well get another horse because I can't find them, or just if you haven't got like a post or some other certain idea of where they could be. In terms of configs though, which you can use for tweaking a fair amount of aspects, you've got the ability to set the debug mode, which I don't know exactly what that allows you to do. It will override horse names though, so obviously if you've named it with a name tag and such, then that'll change things, I guess. I don't even know exactly what sort of features it has, but we'll take a look down here, and if it specifies, it does not. So we'll just go with what we can here. But obviously it allows you to do a bit more. You've got personal horses can get deleted if they're killed, so whether or not that is the case, if death is a permanent removal of being set as a personal. You've got the ability to call in any dimension. Interesting, you can call horses in dimensions. We might actually give that a go. So let's make them come over here, and we'll just jump in here. Can they? There isn't enough space to call them. Oop. Okay, they actually can do that, so it just actually spawns them in the dimension for you. Interesting. So we'll take them with us, that'll be fine. So yeah, you can pretty much just straight up go to said dimension will be fine. Now, is there a actual limitation of distance though? That's what I don't know. No, okay, so we'll just spawn them in, basically, like I did with the dimension. Good to know. Let's see. So you've got a whitelist of dimensions where the horse can be called, which it doesn't seem like the nether or the... well, the nether at least, I can't probably say for the end though. But obviously for the nether it seemed like they seem to transport themselves, so it's not restricting the nether just because it specifies the overworld in here it seems, but it's also you're considering the ones that it should be usable in. Oh, and that needs to be false for it to act on. Okay, that's why, yeah. You've got the maximum distance from the last horse where a new one can be called, and setting it to negative will disable the range. So pretty much there's no range limit by default, but if you want a specific one, you can. So that'll probably be the case in that maybe with dimensions, more so in that just with when you're just, you know, normally doing something, I'm say over here or so, and I've made it say a short distance that I can call them, and they're unable to be called because obviously I've limited it to a certain amount. But since this is technically not having a set limit, it's basically an infinite limit, then or just ignoring the limit, then you can easily call them from any distance by default. Other than that, you can enable or disable the stat viewer. So if you don't want the ability to view stats, which is obviously this part here, then you can disable it. You can also set the walk range, at which a horse will not teleport but walk to you. Setting that to 0 will force them to always teleport. So I guess maybe that's kind of a limit compared to the actual calling distance, sort of. You can change, and maybe... okay, so 0 is force, not negative, so there's that. You've got the actual walk speed of the horse, which obviously you can change accordingly. The vanilla equivalent is 1.2, but it's lessened here, or reduced here. We've got the ability for you to check duplicate horses every game tick, instead of only on load. Only use this if you're experiencing problems with duplicate horses. So I'm assuming obviously if I had a secondary one of this, not the other one that I was trying to tame, then yeah, you can do something about that part, of course. So you can have that, have a continuous anti-dupe check, or you can just ignore it. You've got a disable horse drops, which prevents personal horses from dropping items like leather. This won't prevent armor or saddles from dropping. If this is disabled in combination with death is permanent, it can become a really easy way to farm / duplicate leather. So yeah, so that's pretty much the extent of if you want them to pretty much still be like a normal horse that, you know, gets attacked and so on, but if you want to avoid certain aspects like that, you can obviously have that be changed. And there's also the space that you can call your horse, which is obviously a 3x3. You obviously can't tweak this part, but you can just change whether or not it's required for them to have said limit, or completely disable it, so I assume that they don't have that issue of teleporting to areas that they can't. So yeah, we'll just close out of here just in case, because I'm curious if we can access it via more options, which we cannot. Okay. Now this config specifically is not in the regular, so you want to go to server config. So instead of via here, which you can see it's not there, you want to go into saves, the specific world you're using, server config, and you'll find the Callable horses server config there. Thanks so much for watching, and goodbye.